Now, the Iranian Rial has just crashed. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, my name is Dr. Ian Phillips, and today we're going to break down why this is occurring here. So, the Iranian Rial, that's the currency of Iran, and we all know Iran has been having a great deal of conflicts recently, both domestically and internationally, and it hasn't been good for them for quite some time. Now, one of the things that you want to look at here is what is the current exchange rate, and right now it's about 1 Rial is going to equal 0.000001 US dollars. In other words, $1 equals 1 million reals. That is not good at all. That's very, very, very bad. And what that means is that their economy is absolutely cooked. Their money's been going downhill for years now, meaning that even like when you try to save and you try to do the best that you can as an average citizen here, the hyperinflation just completely wipes you out. So any money that you ever saved ever is completely gone. It's worth nothing. And so you have to resort towards a barter economy, something whereby, look, I have an apple, I'll give you an orange for the apple, so on and so forth. There are people who are going to start hoarding real estate, hoarding gold as much as they can, because at least those things have some tangible value as opposed to this imaginary fiat currency, which has been getting destroyed for years. So let's talk about a little bit why this has happened, and where do we think that this is actually going to go moving forward, because I can tell you this right now, it's only going to get worse. So first things first, the Iranian Rial here, sanctions. Sanctions are absolutely wrecking it, right? Iran cannot easily sell oil. They can't use international banks. They can't trade normally with other countries. What does that mean? That means less money flow into Iran, less demand for the Rial, and value of the Rial is collapsing like crazy, right? Because you can't use it, right? You can't even export your own resources out of the country. You can't do international banking. Like you're going to get destroyed. Your economy is going to get ruined. The currency that you have and hold on to and hold dearly is going to get ruined. Now, next up, what else is going to occur? Well, as your currency starts to plummet, you're going to obviously run out of money. And so how do you get more money? Well, you're going to have to print it, right? Because you can't borrow it. People don't really trade in the Iranian Rial, right? They're not really, people do. Obviously, there's always traders out there, right? But having said that, you're not just going to go ahead and borrow more money, because then even if you did that, you're gonna have to pay back more in interest, but your money is going downhill, right? So people are less likely to want to invest in it and take that on, right? So that's already sus. And so what do? You got to print more money. Well, what does printing more money do? That means that you're going to have higher levels of inflation. Right, so if you had, if there are 10 apples and it costs $10, each apple costs $1. Now there's 10 apples and it costs $1,000. Each apple's worth $100. Even if you were to do, a higher interest rate when you were borrowing, it's irrelevant, right? Because the currency is already inflating in its value, right? It's becoming less and less valuable as we venture on throughout time, right? So people aren't even going to really want to deal with you on an international front. And then, this has been happening for years, right? So about 30 to 50% interest rates for years now. So something that costs $10 today may cost, $15 or $20 the next year, and so on and so forth. And eventually this sort of just spiraled out of control. So now, people when they get paid, it's going to be able to, buy less every month. And so what do? Well, you can convert it to US dollars immediately the second you get the money. You're going to buy gold. You're going to try to buy property. You're going to spend it immediately. Anything you can possibly get your hands on that is not that actual currency. It's going to be like hot potato almost, right? You grab the potato, you just fucking whip it out, right? Because you know that you don't want to be caught with the potato, right? Otherwise, you're going to burn your ass. It's going to burn your ass. You're not going to like it. It's going to be bad for you. So this is really crazy here, right? Really, really crazy stuff. But let's talk a little bit about why this is dangerous here. Well, obviously for obvious reasons, right? When the money goes down in value, bad things are going to start to happen. People are not going to have money for investment here. So businesses will stop investing in your country. The crime is going to rise. Protests are going to start to happen because people are pissed off. Imagine like you worked, your entire life, and then all your retirement is completely worthless. Think about it that way, right? Like you save up for $1 million, but all of a sudden $1 million is really worth like $1. You're going to be pretty fucking pissed off. And that's what's happening in Iran. People are going to try to flee the country. Governments are going to be unstable, and they're just going to do everything they can to leave. Riots, revolts, revolutions. And now we're even in a situation too where dictators are going to be cracking down on the people who are protesting too. And so now you even have domestic, wars and whatnot going on. So this is very, very bad here. And so you really want to think about it this way. Iran is not necessarily poor because it has no resources, right? It's poor because its money is broken. It's completely broken. And from an international front, they have just been getting absolutely hammered with the sanctions and just things just going bad for them constantly over these many years. Things were kind of going, I would say, argue relatively well for relations between the United States and Iran for a little while ago, until Trump got in office his first term and decided, let's just pull out of the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was otherwise known as the Iran deal, right? So then now we're just going to implement a bajillion sanctions on them, just drive them into the dirt. And even worse, and this is why it's going to get infinitely worse than you could possibly imagine here. Trump has literally just announced today, a couple hours ago, that any country who is caught trading with Iran will receive a 25% tariff. Imagine that. Oh my God. They are literally so cooked. They are beyond cooked. They're just done for at this point. So really, what I imagine that you'll probably end up seeing here, you're going to have, constant revolts in the street, constant revolts in the street, constant revolts in the street. I believe it's already like 500 people have died in the last month as a result of the Iranian regime, and all the protests that are going on in the country right now. And because of that, I imagine that you'll probably see some more. People are not going to forget that. I remember I was watching this video the other day. There's this old insurgency claim. It's like, okay, you have one insurgent, right? And let's say you have 5, right? And then you kill them. It's like, well, now how many insurgents do you have? And you're like, I don't really know. It's like, okay, well now you probably have 20. And you're like, how the fuck do I have 20? I just got all 5. And it's like, okay, yeah, but their best friends are now pissed off, though. All the people who were kind of on edge of these movements and whatnot, they're all pissed off. And so now they're going to start to join in, right? Because people aren't going to forget that. They never will forget that. That's why, Israel-Palestine has been going on for the last 80 years. People don't forget things like this. And nor should they. This is obviously insane with, the Iranian government's going on ever since 1979. I think a lot of people have been pissed off, and now they're getting a little bit more of a reason to want to push back. And so, there's people who are trying to, protest for a lot of different reasons, right? Some people are calling for democratic reform. Some people are going to be calling for the government to be replaced entirely. Some are, they want the 1979 regime overthrown, just in general. Some supporters of exiled leaders are, pushing to an end of this clerical rule, meaning a majority shift in power. And this is just, it's a bad time. It's a bad time. And when you're in a situation like this, it only gets worse. It only gets worse. And so I'm very curious to see if the Iranian regime will actually get overthrown here. Probably not tomorrow or anything, but, maybe in the next 10 years, we could maybe see something flip-flop here. I mean, especially if your currency's worth nothing, people aren't necessarily going to be too happy with your leadership, right? Even if it wasn't the leader's fault. And obviously the people who run that country are absolutely psychopathic in nature, horrible human beings. I'll go on the record right away and say that. Absolutely despise the people. But having said that, the people, there's really nothing that they're going to be able to do. So even if they weren't responsible necessarily for this as drastic of a decline, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're horrible leaders. They deserve to be thrown out of power by the people in their own country by a democratic revolution. And I'd like to see that. I think I would certainly support that. Whatever it takes, right? I mean, in that country, for God's sake, women have absolutely no rights. I mean, have you guys ever seen the movie Not Without My Daughter? And people be like, oh, well, propaganda. Not propaganda, bro. That's what actually happens in some of these countries. And so, the way I look at it is, this is probably going to be a wake-up call for a lot of people there who are now, again, going to probably be living in a barter economy here. Again, this is going to be a crisis on all different fronts. It's not good. And, what I can tell you here, what this is probably going to lead to, you might have some higher prices on imported goods. That's probably going to be the case. You're going to have a lot of tension here in global trade. You're going to have diplomatic pushback, and maybe even in the future, you could maybe see some regime change going on. That or shit, maybe the United States is looking at Iran next, right? As the acting president of Venezuela, Donald Trump, would say. You guys can see he was just tweeting about that here, truth socialing about that here today. So with that said, guys, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video here. Just a little commentary, but if you did enjoy, try to leave a like and subscribe here, and try to get us to 500 subscribers. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to you later. Peace.